the usual happy hour on the 21st, the Brisbane Dynamics 365 user group on the 28th, Power BI on the 4th, and then the community summit beginning on the 19th of August. So put those in your calendar, and hopefully we get to see more of you on each one of those events. And as I said before, I'm really looking forward to the in-person events kicking off again. Anyway, we'll see how it goes. Fingers crossed with the easing down of restrictions. So tonight's presentation is going to be presented by Jiva Kumar, who is a MVP in the business application space and has got tons of experience in the Microsoft space, right through from Dynamics to the Power Platform and different software development tools. So it's really fantastic that we've got him coming to present this evening. I think he's based in Singapore. And as you can see, he'll be covering empowering Canvas apps with customer insights and data. So this is the point where I'm going to stop sharing, mute my microphone, and hand it over to Jiva. And a big welcome from all of us. Thanks for joining.
Hi, Jason. Thanks for the introduction. I appreciate it. Hi, everyone. Welcome all of you to the Brisbane Power Automate and Power Apps user group. So are we good to start? Or are we going to wait for someone else to join?
I think we're good to start, and we'll just keep adding as people are joining in. If they're attending late, we'll just keep admitting them.
Okay, fine. So let me quickly share my screen. Let me know once you guys are able to see it. Let me know once you guys are able to see it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes, Jiva.
All right. Thank you. Welcome you all once again. So I just tweaked a bit on the session. So earlier it was just a Canva app, but I decided I'll just show both in model-driven app and Canva app as well, because the Canva app part is not that much to cover in an hour. So I just decided to go with show the customer insight data in both the apps. Having said that, so myself, Jiva Rajan Kumar, and I'm a business application MVP, and I'm also a community lead in Singapore and ASEAN, and I'm also a Microsoft certified trainer, and you can follow me on Twitter in this handle, and this is my blog. So I'm available in crmindian.com. I'll just flash it for 5 seconds. Maybe if you can note it down, you can. All right. So today, before jumping into customer insights and on seeing how to add them in the model-driven app and the Canva app, I would like to walk through on just why we need the customer insight in the first place and what exactly is customer insights. So the first thing we'll start with AI. So all of us know the AI is the buzzword and it's the game changer, right? So but when it comes to business, what exactly AI means, like what exactly how the AI is going to be helpful to me for my business. So to put in simple words, I can say that instead of reacting to what happened, customers need to take, basically the business needs to take a proactive action based on the insights. I know instead of looking at their business in parts, they need to access a holistic view of their entire business. And also from marketing to sales to back office operations and more. So this will be needed. I know instead of making decisions based on incomplete information, they need to draw every connected data source that they have and to help predict the next best action that can be taken. And also instead of focusing on reporting activity that happened in the past, this will help us to pursue meaningful business goals and outcomes for the future as well. So this or the on high level, these are the advantages or purposes of going with an AI technology. So if we talk about top 5 reasons why AI is adopted, so you can see that the percentage, the 26% is for better customer engagements, and 19% is for higher competitiveness, and 18% for higher margins, and 15% for accelerated innovation, and 9% for productive employees. So if in your organization, if you map the AI maturity in your business, so you can say that the foundation can be like basic analytical capabilities, and finding the expectations and disappointments, and also and after the next stage would be approaching of where you wanted to do the AI. So how we digitize it, and how we can increase it and optimize the processes. And definitely there will be a more advanced where you can experiment and apply AI. And then the last mature stage would be involving data science, data scientists, data modeling as such. So from talking about the AI journey from Microsoft's standpoint, so what we have is what we saw in the previous slide, the different stages of how the AI can be implemented in an organization. We're going to see the next one with the product that we have with the Microsoft Dynamics space. So if we talk about the foundational, you have a BI and apps like Power BI, Power Apps, Microsoft Flow, that's Power Automate, and then Azure Data Services. And if you talk about the next level of approaching the AI, so where we can have SAAS services, SaaS services like Dynamics 365 Customer Insights. This is what we're going to see today, and we have also Sales Insight and Marketing Insight, and also Customer Service Insights. And the next stage of having experimental and applying AI, we'll have Azure Cognitive Services and Bot Services and Azure Search, which you can also directly use these services and build your own tools or features like what we have built in AI Builder as such. And the last one, where the mature stage, where you can use your data scientist and create your models, is you have Azure Databricks and Azure MLs, and also Azure IoT Edge as well. So why is Microsoft approach different? In Microsoft, we're talking about Microsoft Dynamics 365 Customer Insights. It unifies the B2C and B2B customer data and provides the insights to enable organizations to deliver personalized customer experiences. Microsoft also helps organizations to realize the full potential of their customer data quickly with the only self-service solution that enriches customer data and lets organizations maintain full control over their customer data. And also, obviously, it gives more data security and governance and compliance. So how AI can help, with respect to Microsoft, again, so like these are typical, situations or scenarios that a business can ask themselves if they're how they can improvise the business using AI. So where should my sales team focus on today? Like I said, that could be multiple scenarios. So what exactly my focus, what exactly the focus for my sales team will be? Excuse me. And how do we do more quickly? How we can spot the marketing opportunities? And how we can have a customer interaction tailored for each customer or each segment of customers as such. And we also need to prevent the issues before they happen. And like we can name it, like how you can reduce the fraud exposure, and how you can give the AI to your business experts. It should not be just available for the tech, but it should be available for the business experts as well, like our AI builders. So you can see the AI has been literally used in almost all the products of the Dynamics 365 suite. And now you have what are the Microsoft AI solutions that Microsoft offers for Dynamics 365. So we have Market Insights, Sales Insights, and Customer Insights, which you're going to see today. And Virtual Agent, Customer Service Insights, Fraud Protection, AI Builder, and also Portals. So this is what I was talking about. So if you see today's problem, so before going into customer insights. So what exactly is going to solve? So if you see the today's business scenario, let's say I have my chain of burger restaurants. Let me call this a Power Burger and Coffee. For my Power Burger and Coffee, so I have data from variety of data sources. Like, I have ERP, I have my CRM, I have my own online sales portal, could be email queries, or it could be social media, POS in a retail store, or vending machine. And the data are all, it's not unified. So the data is segregated, and there could be duplicate of data, and there could be, mismatch of data between these sources. Where we'll end up having multiple customers, like duplicate customers, and where the important information could get lost. And how customer insights will save us, it will give us a 360 view of the customer. So how? So the data that we have, we have duplicates and improper data. This can be segregated and it can be unified. So that is called ingestion and unification in customer insights, which we'll see later. And this process involves, this process will help us to come up with a unified customer profile, which has a much better data, which can be used as a single source of truth for our business to do our analytics and used in the business applications. So this is what I was talking about. So like typical problems today is like, we do not know who is our VIP customers. We do not know where and when the customers will repeat the purchases. We do not know how to upsell, cross-sell across the businesses. And we do not know how to empower employees to personalize and increase customer satisfaction, which is key here. And we also do not know how to prevent customers to move to competitors. So this will reduce the churn rate as well. So the business goals will be, of course, increase the customers' loyalty and increasing the customer satisfaction, reducing the churn rate, and doing and enabling upsell and cross-sell, and increasing the market and revenue profit, of course, the market share, and become number one in the market. And our approach in the customer insights is going to be, so these all could be the different data sources that, it could be internal data source and also could be an external data source. So we can come to this unified profile using a process called unification, where we can ingest data from multiple data sources, and we'll do map and merge. And now we can also use enrichments data that comes from the Microsoft Graph API, and where we will run on the analytics like KPIs, measures, segmentations. If needed, we can also export those data and give it to a data scientist to come up with the models, and which we can again use it back in the customer service, customer insights. And this data can be consumed in Power Platform like Flow, Power Apps, and in Power BI, and also in business applications like Dynamics 365, sales, and customer service. So today, we are not going to see this part because there are already, this is like a very vast thing which we can't cover everything in hard. So we are not going to see the unification and ingestion. I'll share you reference material where you can go and look for that. So once we have the unified profile, and the KPI is defined already in the profile, we'll see how to consume that in the model-driven app and also in the Canva app. So far, so good. Any doubts? Please feel free to drop your questions in the message. I will address it later. And then it's saying that. So this is a sample use case that we're going to see today. I just came up with this one like a few hours back. So let's assume that we are Power Burgers company, and we have online sales of our burgers, and we also do retail stores. We also have retail stores to sell our burgers, and also vending machines to sell to the customers. And as we just saw in the problems in the business, the three could have a different data of the same customer, and a customer can be someone who regularly orders from the online, but occasionally visits the store. So in that case, if somebody goes to the store, that customer being a regular customer and having a loyalty points, good loyalty points, he definitely needs certain personalized customer experience will definitely make the customer more happy, which means the business is going to get growing, right? So let's assume this scenario where we're going to have data from multiple machines. So let's say that we'll get a POS data, the POS machine data from the vending machine, and we'll have a web-based data from the online store, and we'll have the loyalty points also from the online store. And let's assume the customer is going to the retail store today, and how the customer's experience can be improvised. So this is what I was talking about. So we'll have an app, a multi-event app and a Canva app, and we'll connect this with the customer insight unified profile. And also we'll do a customer check-in. And when, let's say, for example, today customer goes to the store, and he can also do a check-in. The store attendee can do the check-in for the customer, so that data is also captured, so that when the customer comes back again the next time to the store, we'll have that data captured, and we can do some personalized service or recommendation for the customer. Or we can, if the next time the customer goes and does the shopping in the online, still we will have the data that we captured from the store, which we can leverage to do some personal recommendations and suggestions as well. So this is the ER diagram, basically the data model which we have. So we have an e-commerce contacts. It's the one which is got from the online store, the profile of the customer, and also we can have the loyalty points of the customer, and the online purchases when the customer do the purchase, and then the reviews from the e-commerce, and also the POS purchase from the vending machine. So the prerequisite for this would be data ingestion and unification, which is done in the customer insight portal. I can just give you a quick 5 minutes walkthrough on what we have, but we're not going to see that in detail. That's going to take a while to set up everything. So there is a wonderful blog written by one of our community leads called Manon Mani. So this is a blog series where she has a video on how to do the ingestion and unification in detail. And I also have a video from one of my previous session where I had shown the same. All right, let's sell some power burgers and coffees. It's time for demo now. Let me quickly open my customer insight portal. All right, so as I said, I just give you a quick 5 to 10 minutes of walkthrough on what the customer insight is going to look and how the data is being stored there, created there, so that you will have better understanding when we see it in the Power Apps. So when you create a customer insight, you can just go to this URL and create a customer insights, log in with your existing work user ID, or you can just create a new user ID. And then when you log in the first time, it's going to land up in this demo page. Did I open the wrong one? All right. So this is going to just land up in your demo page where you can see this is what I was talking about, the KPIs and the churn score of a customer, average churn score of the overall the product of your, overall for your company, and average online spend for per customers, and what are the potential interest on and potential brands as such. All right, and if you go to the customers, you can also see it from the individual customers endpoint. So if you open a customer, you can see the customer unified profile. When I say unified profile, you can see it's very obvious here that you have a customer base data that comes from the website, and also the data that comes from the loyalty management system, and that comes from different posts. So you can see the combined activity of it has a 51 email activity that customer has sent, and he has 1 case against it in a business application if we have a customer service. And then we have 3 website reviews given by the customer, and 3 vending machine purchases, and 2 online purchases. And you can see them combined in a single timeline. That is the biggest thing that I would say, which I was just talking about, which will give you a 360 view of a customer. And you can see potentially what the customer is interested in, what the brand, and what exactly is interesting. This is a common as a sample data. So we'll see, in our case, we have a restaurant-based data. So you can see the churn risk of this customer is very, very low. So and this customer is doing $485 of online spend, something like that. So this one place gives you a complete 360 view of the customer's activities. So if you leave this demo, and if you go to the, you can create how you start is you'll create a new environment, and you will very first step would be you will be adding the data sources. Okay, so all these things are explained very in detail in those blogs I just show you. I will pass the URL later. So you can add data sources. So if I just go and click on add data source, you can see I can add data source from the CDS, or I can import data. So if I give import data, so you can see there are a variety of data sources which I can use to pull the data in from. So I can have CDS, Java data, Azure tables, MySQL, and plain JSON file, could be a PDF, SharePoint, and what we have used is text and CSV that is hosted in Azure. So, and that's how we ended up adding these many data sources, right, from e-commerce, loyalty, and POS. All the data I just collected and added. The good thing about this is when you add a data source, what it's going to show you is, I can just quickly show that. The moment you click the data source, it's gonna open the Power Query window where you can filter the data. So where you can remove the unwanted columns, or the columns in the table or data, and you can format the data source as well. So for example, when I imported first time, it was in a text because I imported from a CSV file where you need to go and define what format is that. And similarly, for the phone numbers, you'll define the phone number, the number, and then, for the any currency fields, you define the currency as such. So once you do that, once you save it, your data will get loaded into the Customer Insight portal. So anyways, the Customer Insight portal, Customer Insight is smart enough to give the data type of each column. If there is something missing, you can always change it there. And once you do that, the next thing you will remove the duplicates between the multiple data sources. So that is called the unification process, a map, match, and merge. It's a 3-step process, and it takes a time to know, like an hour or 2 hours to set up all these things. So how it's going to look is, I don't know, I have a very bad connection today. Yeah. So you can see, I can define the primary key of my data. So once I define the primary key of my data, the second step will be matching the data, where I will just select 2 tables. You can see here, I just selected table e-commerce contacts and loyalty customers. So we have customer data in each of this. So my idea is to combine them, because each of them will have its own full name and its email, something like that. So this is the step you follow. You just select what you want to combine. So I want to combine full name from the e-commerce side and full name from the loyalty customers, and also email from both the data sources, which will eventually, when I run this, I'm going to get something like this. And the first time when you enter, you're not going to see any of this. Once you define the match rule and run this, you can say overall there are unique customers of 5273, and the matched customers are 49443. So if I go and see the data, you can see the e-commerce, in the e-commerce portal he has mentioned Steven Hallstrom, but his name is actually Stephen Hallstrom. So he made my drunk at the time, I'm not sure. He just entered his name, but the system is smart enough to match the data, and it says it's 69% match. But in this case, you can see that it's 100% match. All the name and emails also get matched. So this is what is happening. When you have data from multiple data sources, when you define the match rule, the system will combine the customer's data so that you do not end up with having a duplicate customer data. You can see, it's Cassandra coach, and it's like something, and it's just smart enough to match that. All right. And last thing is the merge. So once you have the matching, you have to merge it. So let's say you have a full name now from the loyalty customer, from the loyalty management system, and also you got full name from the e-commerce portal. Now you need to combine them. So you have to decide, you just combine both the full names, so that while also combining, you can also define the priority. Okay. So if I take the full name, you can see my customer name, my customer name from the e-commerce, customer name from loyalty portal, and customer name from Dynamics. I've just combined all of them together. Okay, so that there will be going to be only one full name, and the priority I can set it here. So I just take the e-commerce portal as my first priority, and then for loyalty customer, and then Dynamics. So what happens is when same customer data from 3 systems is combined, it's merged now, it's matched now, and it's merged now, and we're going to have only one full name in our unified profile. So objective of doing all these things is to come up with the one unified profile from different data sources. And that's the unified profile is being shown here in the customers. So you define the search. Yeah.
Can I ask a question about the merging process?
Mm-hmm.
You can say you showed there you could define the merge process and give different sources priority, but imagine I have an e-commerce customer who just used their initials, but in Dynamics they have their full name, full first name, full last name. But most of the time I want to give priority to the e-commerce system. Can I have any rules that say if the name is shorter than so many letters, use this system or that system as a source?
There is no rule as such, custom rules, but you can define that in the individual field standpoint, but not in more detail as per rules.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a good question. Is that Neil?
Yeah.
Familiar voice. Okay. Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. Thank you.
All right. No worries. And then yeah. So once you have the data, the unified profile, the second thing would be you set up the customers filter, and the activities is what we are interested in, because these are things let's just quickly see what are things we will be showing it in the Power Apps now. So in the Power Apps, we'll be showing the segments, like, so these are the KPIs that's been generated, which we create. So quickly, if I go there, you can see we can create measures like, and we have business-wise measure and individual customer-wise measure you can create. So business-wise measure is something like, overall average POS sale and overall average web sale. But with respect to customer measures, you'll have what's the lifetime of the customer, something like that. So if I go and edit it, you can see it's very straightforward. You have to define the data source, and you have to know, if you want, you can put some common, some intermediate variable like this, where I want to combine from both the data source and use the sum of the variables, or you can just use one data source and use the sum of the total spend from that data source, something like that. So this is where you define the KPIs, and once you have that, the next thing is you can also create segments, like overall to know what is the high valued customers, online, and high valued summer promotion. If you're using any marketing, you can use this for that, something like that. So if I quickly edit this,
Jiva,
so
sorry.
Yep.
We have a question from Nivesh. Nivesh, can you please unmute yourself and ask?
Hi there, guys. Yeah, just had a quick question. Following on from that previous question, if you did want to make an adjustment to that data and say that I really want to put a loyalty name rather than the e-commerce name, can you override it with exceptions, or are you just limited to having not 100% accurate data, maybe 90% accurate data?
Can you come again, because your voice is not that audible?
Oh, sorry.
Can you come again, please? Yeah. Yeah, I think better.
Can you override those rules? There's no rules, I know. Can you override that merge process with certain cases, so you can get 100% accurate data rather than, say, almost accurate data?
Okay, so the question is, can you have a rules saying that you restrict only 70% data and up to, after 70%, and you ignore the less than 70% data, something like that?
No, that's not quite what I mean. I can, if you're short time, I can ask a question afterwards.
Okay, no worries.
Yeah, please carry on.
Yeah, thank you. So what we have here in the customer data, so the unified customer profile, so you can see there's activities which I showed earlier, and there is something called the brand interest, and the measures which we just I just showed you KPIs, it's going to get displayed as a card here. So you just define the activities, like, you know, you can get all the activities from these data sources. It should eventually combine and showed it over there. Okay. So without further ado, let's just quickly see how this can be used in the model-driven app first. So let me open my, so I'm using the customer service hub app, but you can also use the your custom apps. All right. So the first step for this would be creating a, let me quickly open the solution. Oh, come on. I don't know why it's taking ages. Right. So there is something called, you know, you need to add an app to bring the customer insight data to your model-driven app. So this is a managed solution available. So no, you need to add that to get the customer data. So that's a customer insight, customer add-on. So once you import that apps, which you can get it from the app source. So once you open the solution, it will prompt you to log in with your credentials. This is not the same. The thing is, the Dynamics or Power Platform credentials could be different from your customer insight credentials as well. So here you need to enter your customer insights credential. So once you enter the customer insight credential, it will ask you to select the field, which when the moment you'll see lots of fields from the customer insight unified profile. So you need to basically select a contact field, and if you want to do it for B2B, you'll select account field. That's all. You just save the configuration, and you'll successfully provided the connection between your business application and the model-driven app and the customer insight profile. And next thing is, so whoever wants to access the information, the salesperson whoever wants to access the information, for them you have to give the security rules. So if let's say if I go and open one of my user. So the moment you establish that, you're going to see two new security roles over there: customer insight card customizer and customer insight standard user. So you have to give the permission for these security roles. And once you do that, the third step would be adding the customer insight to the form. So if you see here, so this form was not there. So I had a contact main form and contact interactive form. So I added a new form. So basically I just copy pasted the main form, and I just created 3 sections inside the form. All right. So if I quickly open that. If I go to contact form. So what I did is, I just created a new form and saved that form. And in that form, I just added new 3 sections, very straightforward if you're already familiarized with the model-driven app. And I just added a 3 text field. That's all. I didn't do much here. So you can see here, I just added 3 sections and then added 3 fields. So I just used the city name here. It's a text field, so I just used that. And the same city name I used everywhere, to be honest. And then another thing is, once you have the customer insight established, you're going to have one more form called customer insight form. You just need to select it because we just saved it, right? So you'll have the form now. You just select this so that it will show up here in the forms. Okay. And then the next step would be, the moment you add the customer insight form, the last and the final step is you need to add the customer insight control. You need to bind the customer insight control to the plain text box. So if I go back to the classic view, because it's not yet available in the modern view. Open the classic view. Okay. Where did I put his thing? Okay, never mind. I'll quickly show you. This is not the best way to use the default solution, but I'm just doing it because we have very less time now. This is the form that I just saved as, and I just showed you that I modified. And if I open the form, if I click on the field, it's going to take you to control. And when you click on the add control, you will see the customer insights control added by itself. So if I go quickly to the customer insights, we can see there is a customer insight demographic control and customer insight intelligence control and measures control and timeline control as well. So what you have done is here I just added the timeline control to bring the activities, and in the KPI I have added the measures control, the measures we just created in the customer insights, and then the demographics I have just added the demographic control. So the moment I added it and save and publish everything, and your salesperson logs into the contact and he goes to this form, tada, he's going to see the customer insight data right here. Oops, I just signed out. My bad, I'm sorry. Let me quickly log in. We just signed out when I was just doing the demo a few minutes back. So once you add that, you're going to see those data that comes from, for this customer, BMOS from the customer insight portal, and it will be displayed for the salesperson or service person to do that, to make the job easier and better. And the thing is, once the moment you add, you might not see all the fields, so you can feel free to just, the salesperson can just right away go and edit, and they can get the data from the, from the customer insight. So if you see these measures, so this thing comes from the measures we just created a while back, right? So from here, this is the measure we created in the customer insight, and that's one being displayed here. You can just choose one of this and you just save. It's going to pull the data from there. Simple as that. And same for the demographic and same for the activity as well. So with being said that, so this is what this is how we leverage the customer insight in the model-driven app. Next, we'll do the customer insights from the Power Apps Canvas app. Okay. All right. So what? Sorry about that. So so in the app, what we have is first screen we have the welcome screen. So the welcome screen we just will get the data. If we show in the gallery, you can see the data comes from the customer insight. So okay, before that, let me just quickly show the data source. So if you see the data source, when you go and add and search for the new data source, you will be able to find the customer insights right here. And once you give it's going to ask you for the authentication. Once you give the credentials, next screen will be choosing the data sets. And the interesting part about data set is you can see that the data we have the unified customer profile. This is the data that we have been trying to build in the customer insight portal. And then these are the segments we just created. So I just showed you that, kind of a KPIs, so which we created over here. You see high valued online customer, as such, and that's what been stored, which means you can also use the data from the unified customer profile, and also you can get the data from the measures and segments that you have created, so that it's not just going to be idle. I mean, it's similar way where you are consuming here. We are now going to consume in the Canva app as well. Okay. So what I did is, for this gallery, I just set the data source as the customer, the unified customer profile. And so if I remove this, data comes from the customer profile. And with respect to Canva app, I'm not doing anything great here. It's just the existing template that I have from Microsoft, and I'm just reusing it because the purpose is not to show how to build the Canva app. It's just to show how to use the customer insight to the Canva app. So if I just go and search this, and you can see the profile of Abby Moss. And the interesting part here is you can see the demographic details of Abby here and the activity, what she has done so far. Guys, did I lost you?
No, we can hear you. Carry on.
Okay, because there was some beeping sound. I thought I just lost.
It was someone waiting to be admitted.
Okay. Thanks for that. And it's too late, by the way, for them. Okay, so the activity, you can see there's a combined activity, which we saw right here there in the customer insight, in this customer insight portal, and also in the model-driven app. The same thing we are going to see right here in the Canva app. Okay, so the data source for this gallery is going to be different. I'll show you that. And this customer, the current points and the lifetime points, you can also build that, but I haven't added that. But you can also bind that, the concept is same, right? So you bind to this respective data sources, like from the, to our measures and segments, you're going to see that here. And the recommendations, you can also use, like inside cards to show some recommendations, which I have not done, but you can do that as well. Okay. So if I go back and and the next thing is, so why do we need this app again? So if you go back to my very first slide, which I showed you, so consider that now we have built the customer insights. We now have the perfect data for customer, and now our AI, customer insights AI engine runs on all this data. And that data is what, when our sales person or a service person use our business application or model-driven app, he can leverage this data and he can do the upsell and cross-sell. That's the idea about it. And if there is a churn score, I can also map it, the churn score here. I can just show it right here, anywhere. And so that we can also have a rules written where if there is any the churn score is less than this, we can have we can highlight that in the dashboard, so that when the service person or the salesperson can approach that and talk to the customer and to provide a better service. So that's the whole idea about it. Now we are now making use of the hard work that we did by building the customer profile. We are now able to do the sales. So now this is for the in-person, could be a salesperson or service person. Now the Canva app is for the people at the retail store or the restaurant, right? So when someone goes in, the customers, right, he or she can ask the name or ID as such, like this loyalty point ID, whatever it is, we can just use that, and we can there will be a tablet app provided for the salesperson or the service person at the store, who can pull the customer data, and immediately the person will be aware of all the activities that our customer has done, right, and what the review is he or she has given. So and also the points, lifetime value as such. And with that, you can imagine what the person at the store can do. Like, he can definitely provide a better service, and he can definitely recommend some product that's recently launched in the store for the customer, right? And you can also give discounts because this customer might be a VIP customer who has been purchasing your products for a while and for a huge amount, and where we can see the average purchase here, right? And with that, let's say we also need to make sure that the customer is checking here, right? Because we also need to make sure that this data is captured. The entry that the customer has made now, this is captured, because otherwise this will be lost, right? So I just click on this, So I have a very small, a simple flow. I will just show you later. And so it's done. Sorry, this app is not a complete app, right? The idea is just to show you how the things works. So I just did the checked in. So what happens is if I go to my customer profile here, if I refresh this timeline, you can see that there is a new check-in done for this customer, right now, 403 in Singapore now. So if I open this, okay, I didn't capture any data here, but if I go back to the previous one, so you can see the person has a subscription, he also has a club, and he's also a personal recommendation and what he likes, something like that. You can customize this form and I just use the template, but you can customize this form and have your own stuff so that from each time what the customer has preferred, this can again go back to the customer insights, and you will end up having a much better data the more you use it. So that's the thing about this. So I'll just show you what is how I have you use the gallery and those things and the flow, and then we can go for the Q&A session. So if I close this and let me start with the first one, is quite simple. You can see the items. I just pull the item from the customer table that comes from the unified customer profile, and I'm just rendering full name, loyalty ID, and the customer ID. And then I just added the filter to that, which is showing here. And this labels, I'm just using the selected full name, selected email ID, and selected address. All right. So city, state, postal code, and country. That's all. And the next screen, the customer profile screen. So I have the address again, comes from the previous selected screen, and then the gallery, the activity gallery here. The data source comes from, you can see it's very straightforward. It comes from unified activity. So what is this unified activity? It gets generated in the customer insight itself. So you don't need to generate anything now. The moment you build the customer insight profile, you can see all the entities there. You see activity. Sorry. So you have the unified activity, and you have the measures and all this. So whatever we created here, it's all captured as a separate entity, as a separate table. So the moment you have your Power Apps written, you can use that against that table. It's simple as that. And here, if you want, you can just capture this gallery against the measures, and eventually you'll see the measures. And then yeah, so this is the button, the only button I have to call my flow, and you can see I'm just hard coding it with Abby, but yeah, literally you can take it from the GUID of this particular contact. So I'll just quickly show the flow. You can see now our there'll be one flow which we run now. Yeah, we just ran 3 minutes ago to create the check-in. So if I go and show that, it's very simple one, so it's not a complex one. So yeah, it just creates the record. So this is the entity I just created to handle the check-ins that's related to the contact. And then yeah, you're just relating today's time and all this subscription, all those things you can capture from the app, and that is what being displayed in that custom entity. Okay, well, that's all for the demo, and please shoot your questions. I try to answer my best.
Guys, just remember to unmute if you want to ask a question.
So the question is around the licensing. Can you brief quickly about license? Do we need separate license for that?
Yeah. So Customer Insights has a separate license. I guess it starts from $1,500 per month. It's a tenant-based. I mean, it's access across the tenant. Okay.
Okay. So it's per user per month.
Yeah. It's across the tenant per month. So I can just quickly show that too. But I remember it's like $1,500 per month.
No, that's fine. I can take it from Microsoft website if you wish.
Yeah. Next one. Yeah. $1,500 per month.
I have a question as well.
Okay. Go ahead.
How were you capturing vending machine data that the customer has purchased via vending machine? Is it via their card or something?
Yeah, so we are assuming that there is a POS machine being set up at the vending machine.
Okay.
So he just uses POS machine, and we'll get the membership. With the membership card, we will get the data from that.
Okay, that's what I was thinking. Except for that, I couldn't think of any other way. Cool, thank you.
No worries.
And another thing like product suggestions, so let's buy the one product, and how in this case, because he bought some product either online or through vending machine, in case system, how we can do that?
Sorry, come again. I lost you.
So let's say I work in bank, and let's say customer bought a home loan. So how product suggestion we can offer, like let's say car loan or the insurance or like that, how we can configure the product suggestion insights.
Yeah, so no matter what data is that, end of the day, it has to be in some destination. So as I just showed you earlier, so you have a variety of data sources that you can connect to and pull the data, okay? And the moment you pull the data, after you pull the data, you have the flexibility to merge the data and pick the unique data out of that. And then additional data, if you want, you can add the additional data also. And eventually you will have a unified customer profile. So for example, here you can see that I've just used the e-commerce and loyalty customer, but eventually the moment you have the data source, you will have more data here. For example, your website review or your loan system as such. And you just select one of that, and then you just define the matching criteria and merging for that, okay? Which is a separate thing, but yeah, the moment you have the unified data, everything will be combined and you can create a measures out of that loan data. For example, you can have something like how much the customer has availed, and what is there any pending dues, and how the customer has been what is the delay rate the customer is causing paying the loan, something like that. You can create measures like that because you have like count, you have average, you have min and max, and eventually you will have your data column from the data that you pulled in, and you can just define that. So the AI engine will run on that. For example, you can see here I use the POS data, and it shows me the POS machine and also the unified customer profile which I just built. So I can just choose the field from that, and then do that. And once you have this, yeah, the same thing is what been shown, and now you can use this in Power BI, Power Apps, business application, or even public websites.
Thank you.
Hope that answers your question.
Yeah, definitely it answers. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Anything else?
Jivan, a quick question from my side. This is Raghav. So tell me like top 3 or top 5 business scenario where this Canvas app is really used in the customer service insight, like in the BFSI side or maybe in the utility side or something like that, which you came across, which is really beneficial, these technologies.
So you're asking, is there any use case that I have came across?
Yes, that's correct. Yeah.
No, personally, I have not implemented it in any of my projects. So far, it's all about doing POCs and exploring what is there. But definitely, there are customers who are using it. I think you can find that in the Microsoft website itself. But if you have anything that you have in mind, any business scenario, probably you can let me know now, or you can reach out to me offline anytime. I'll be happy to help you.
Sure. Yeah, I'll do that. Yeah, thanks.
Just to add on to what Jiva said, a very good example could be banking industry. If you walk into a bank branch and they could see all your data in terms of your work, and they will straight away start analyzing what could you invest in. So like the Canvas app was showing you those placeholders for the graph that can tell you about your investments and wherever you have invested. So that could be a great example. Along with that, the example which was taken by Jiva about the stores and online. sales. That could be another where you can just, somebody walks in and checks in. It gives you a pop-up that Mr. X has popped in. They prefer mocha as an example of coffee. So that could be another example.
Sure. I'm getting it. Yeah.
Anything else we have, Jason, in the queue?
I think we had a question earlier. Sorry, I'm just going back to the. Can we? And I think someone did answer it, but it may be good to cover for the benefit of everyone. Can we use unified customer data in other systems? Can we update customer data back to CRM? One of the responses was around that the data can be exported on a and refreshed on a scheduled basis. But if you had anything else that you'd like to add to that, perhaps?
Yeah, so the data can be consumed. So if I go back to my slide, I just quickly just want to show you this. Yeah, I don't know why there's something showing up. Yeah, so you can have it in your because it's end of the URL call that you're making to customer insight, right? So it's end of the day, if you add a URL, you're going to get the data sets, data tables so that you can see it in the customer insight. So that table, with that you can render the data anywhere.
Excellent, thank you. And there was a question that was asked earlier, but the audible was not very good.
Yeah,
I think it was Nivesh. He said instead of making rules,
do we ask that question?
Can you override with exceptions? So I think we were going to come back to it at the end of the session.
Yeah, just when you're merging the data from, and you can see inaccuracies and you want to avoid pulling in inaccurate data from a certain source, if you're treating that as your primary, can you override such instances?
Okay, so you exclude certain data when you add data. So that's what you're saying?
Yeah, if you go to the matching tab, remember you were saying that sometimes someone might write a incorrect first name to Donk or something, and then the other column had the correct name, but overall that first column was the one that's your primary. Will it then pull in the incorrect name, or can you override certain?
So how you can filter that is, let's say, for example, and because we cannot do by specific person, right? Specific people. So what you can do is, let's say the last name from your loyalty customer or from your store purchase is not reliable, for example, okay, and the last name from your online store is more reliable than the retail store. So what you do is, when you merge these two last name, what you can do is you can just set the priority so that always it picks the store, the online one, and it if there is empty data in the or some junk name in there, it's going to skip the second one because the priority always goes there. But if you do not know, it could be changing between in different scenarios. One customer's name would be perfect in this one, the other customer name will be perfect in this one. It's going to be difficult, but it always goes by ranking. It's not going to skip, but it goes by ranking. Okay, and definitely if you see this merged data, and the system is smart enough to figure that out. So if I go back to the match, so that junky data might not affect it as much as possible. The reason is, so you can see here, if I open a sample, so you can see, it's John, but he's completely given GLH and whatever it is, right? So the first name is totally weird, but the system able to pick it up, correct? And then it's going to skip that. It's not going to end up creating one more.
Okay. So how do you trust the system to know it's going to be picking it up?
Sorry, can you be a little bit more loud?
Yeah. How do you trust that the system will pick up the right name that's been question really.
So how do I trust the data?
Yeah.
Yeah. So eventually, since we the one who is building up the data is the one who's deciding what the data is going to be. So we have a Power Query here, and the moment we had data, we can do some filtering and querying right here. It's if you have familiarized with the Power BI, we're gonna have very same stuff like this.
Yeah.
Right. So here we can filter and do more queries and like choose certain columns and remove other columns, for example, like that. And if you have combined data, you can do it's basically whole Power Query. You can play around with that.
Cool. Thanks for answering the question.
Thank you. Thanks. Anything else?
Cool. It seems like that's it. Once again, thanks so much for today's or for us this evening's presentation. I've seen a lot of comments. I don't know if you've noticed. Looks like a lot of happy people. So really well done. We really appreciate it. So hopefully guys can take this into the real world and start developing solutions.
Yeah, that's the point about it.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah. Again,
so
thank you guys. Thanks for joining today.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Jiva.
Sorry for my late
But I think, thank you. But Jason, you have one more slide, right? If I'm not wrong, to show to the community.
I'll check. I don't have the latest one, so Prashant can. Yeah. Got it.
Okay, then myself, I just thanks everyone for joining today, and thank you Prashant, Jason, and Rachel for giving this opportunity. Thanks, guys. See you soon.
Cool.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Cheers, everyone.
Thanks, all people.
Thanks.